I think a lot of Rita's artwork was really full of symbolism, and it was really of the time.
This artwork offers a glimpse into the mind of the 17-year-old who created it more than 5 decades ago.
I believe it's my sister, or at least a representation of her.
Touching these pages might be the closest Jill Jolly ever gets to understanding her sister Rita. The young artist disappeared in 1973.
She was different in a lot of ways. She was very artistic, very sensitive. After she disappeared, of course, we went through her bedroom and found all of these writings.
Rita Jolly was last seen by her family on the evening of June 29, 1973. She left her parents' home in West Lynn on a walk.
I got a phone call the next morning, very early the next morning, from my mother, just desperate, and she said, Rita didn't come home last night.
West Lynn police and Clackamas County Sheriff's deputies launched a search for Rita.
She was walking along the side of the road towards West Lynn. That was last Friday night about 9 o'clock.
This is film from the KGW archive.
You've mentioned that she took walks.
The Jolly family spoke to us a few days after Rita disappeared.
From all of the appearances and indications, this was merely an evening walk. And we feel that it's a virtual certainty that she's been a victim of foul play.
We thought at the time that if she had been kidnapped, that the best thing that we could do would be to publicize her disappearance as much as possible.
My daughter was not the kind
About 2 weeks after this interview, her father wrote to the Oregonian saying, "I cannot describe to you the depth of our heartbreak."
And there were some sightings of her. The last sighting that I think was kind of proven was at 8:30 when she was coming up Sunset Avenue. These are pictures of Rita that I found in the case file. Yeah.
Kim Timius with the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office is still investigating Rita's disappearance all these years later.
You know, even clear down at the coast, these people thought this hitchhiking girl could be her, and they actually talked to her, but it wasn't her.
While she says those tips back in 1973 didn't bring investigators any closer to finding Rita, detectives did find out that she hitchhiked.
But the walking and the hitchhiking is big to me. Oh yeah.
Today, Timius leads the investigation and brings with her renewed hope of a breakthrough in the decades-old case. Right now, she's taking a close look at suspected serial killer Warren Forrest, although the sheriff's office stops short of calling him a suspect. Forrest is serving 2 life sentences for killing a 20-year-old woman and a 17-year-old woman in the early 70s, and is suspected in the disappearances or deaths of several other women in Clark County.
The first thing I wanted to know was a timeline.
Timius met with Doug Mass and the Clark County cold case team in early January to talk more about Rita's case and review Forrest's history.
We've got 2 victims in 1972, and we got a bunch in 1974. And so what was happening in 1973? You know, he didn't decide just to shut down for a year.
So I'll get some ideas about what they're doing, and I would love to give answers. I won't say closure because I don't think there could ever be closure, but to give them some peace.
As decades have passed, Jill's had time to consider every possibility, thinking back to the weeks leading up to Rita's disappearance and wondering if Rita just left on her own.
So she was the last one at home and trying to deal with her life and the teenage angst and feeling different. I think over time I've tended to gravitate more towards the idea that Rita did run away, voluntarily left, although I have a hard time believing she's still alive and hasn't contacted us.
But none of these avenues have led to answers.
Yeah, it's really hard to know what to do with that grief when you don't know what happened.
And Jill realizes she may never know what happened to her sister.
I wish that we'd all had more time with her. You know, I wish the world had had more time with her.
Ashley joins me now. Ashley, you've been following this for the past several months. Tell us, what stood out to you about Rita?
Well, I feel really grateful that I got to learn a lot about her from her sister. Her sister was very open with me. She loved animals. She had a horse named Sugar. And she spent her senior year of high school at Clackamas Community College. She didn't always get along very well with the other kids in school, and so she took a different route. Her sister said she really enjoyed taking ceramics and creative writing, and her sister found a lot of her poetry and writings after she disappeared. And we have one more piece of this interview to share with her sister, and I think it illustrates a lot of her grief.
And I remember thinking, well, we'll grow up, you know, and be more alike. And that we'll grow up and have families together, and we'll be able to share recipes over the phone, and our children can grow up as cousins, and we'll have good times together. You know, I remember thinking that we'd have those years, and to have them just be gone in an instant like that you don't have them. I've spent, you know, my whole life wishing I had a sister.
That's really heartbreaking. You can feel that grief that you were talking about there. Okay, so law enforcement, talk to me about that piece. Any takeaways there?
I mean, I think the biggest takeaway is that they don't give up, right? 50 years later, these detectives are still looking for answers. And that detective that you heard from, Kim, our interview, is actually pretty emotional. She said she has 2 kids herself, and she can't imagine what this would have been like, what this has been like for the Jolly family for the last 5 decades. Now, the other piece of this is I did not know that they were partnering up with the Clark County Sheriff's Office when I first started looking into Rita's case. That developed a lot more recently.
So talk to us about Still Searching, the series. What can we expect? Where'd the idea come from?
Right, I mean, we're there the next day after something happens, right? We're there on someone's worst day, but these stories continue long after that, right? Families spend a long time searching for answers, and so we want to give them a place to share that.
Ashley Grams, thank you so much. Now, if there's a cold case in your community that you'd like Ashley and team to look into and potentially shed some light to try and find answers, let us know. The email address is right there on your screen, stillsearching@kgw.com.